Hey everyone, welcome back to KBS Technocraft Day 10 Python tutorial. Today we are going to explore JSON in Python. We will look in detail how to encode decode JSON data to Python data and Python data to JSON data object. In this, we are going to cover five basic points. First, what is JSON? And then second, JSON data encoding decoding basics in Python. And then we will also cover JSON to a specific Python data type, like for example, how to convert a JSON object into a list tuple and dictionary. And then also we will try to cover Python data like list tuple dictionary array to JSON object. And then we will try to cover in the last how to handle the encoding decoding exception. So before we move into the actual encoding decoding point, we will try to understand what is JSON. JSON is sent for JavaScript Object Notation and it's a lightweight format of storing and representing the data. Okay, so if you see in this example, this example which is called employee object, it contains three different kind of attributes. It's called name, salary, and merit. So in JSON, this is how we can represent a simple employee object. Okay, so we will not focus more into the JSON part. It's just a very basic. The people who are not aware about JSON, I just try to cover it. If required, you just put a comment in the comment box. I will try to make another video specific to JSON. Okay, so we will try to create a basic simple programming for converting, or let's say consider encoding Python data to JSON. So in this, if you want to do encoding or decoding, we have to import a library or module is called JSON. So what we are going to do that we are going to create a simple data and then we are going to decode into JSON. So let me go into the Visual Studio Code and then try to see the setup to check the Visual Studio Code environment setup is working fine or not. We can just try to write test message here and we will run it and we'll see this message is displayed. This message is displayed. Okay, so we are good to start. Let's go with the practical example. So we will try to first understand what is encoding and what is decoding. So encoding means when you are trying to convert Python data type to JSON. For example, let's say consider if you are having a dictionary in Python and you want to try to convert into the JSON, then it's called encoding. And then if you have a JSON and you want to convert into the Python data type, data structure or collection, then it's called decoding. So we will first try to understand encoding decoding by one simple example and then we'll try to apply this for the different data and structure and we'll try to see that. Okay, to encode or decode, we need to just import a module called JSON. So I just imported that module, JSON module, and then do the encoding. So I'm going to first discuss our encoding. So I will just type one, and this is encoding. So to understand encoding, we are going to first need to have a Python data. So we have imported it, and then we are going to define here Python underscore dictionary. Just for naming convention is like just to understand that this Python data type. Okay, so I will give name as I will give s name and then I will define ID. Let's say ID. Let's say we are defining 123 and then address our country. Let's say put country and then country I will put India. So this is simple dictionary which we have defined. Now how to apply the encoding. So what we are going to define a JSON string. JSON encoded value. Let's say consider defined in this way. And then we have to use this JSON module dot. Then we have to use terms. And then we have to pass this value. So we will pass this Python dictionary and we will try to print this uh, JSON encoded value. So we will try to put JSON encoded value and we will run this code by clearing this console so that we will be able to see this result here. So we are able to see this result is displaying. So this is what encoding means. We have any Python data structure which you want to convert into the JSON, then we call this mechanism as encoding. Now let's say consider we want to do the decoding. To do decoding, what we require is that we need to do the opposite operation. So for example, I will declare first a JSON string here. So to declare this, I will put a JSON string here, and then I will require a dictionary to be created where we want to store that value after the decoding. So, but I will have JSON and then we need to load it. Instead of dump, we have to load it. So we will load it, and what value we require? We require to load this string. So we are going to load this JSON string and assign to a dictionary value object. So we have, and then we will try to display this dictionary here. This is decoding where what we are having a JSON string and then we are trying to load the JSON string and assign to a dictionary variable object, and then we are trying to print it. I will clean it here and then try to run it. If you see, is converted into the dictionary. So how you want to do the further check, then you can put it here name and see that name is coming as a test name here because dictionary will be able to retrieve by the key. So I just, okay, I need to clear it. I cleaned it, and if I run it, I should be able to get the test name here. So we are able to get the test name here. So at high level, this is what encoding and decoding. We will try to do encoding. We'll try to check other data structure encoding, and then we will see decoding. So we will try to see a couple of more examples for encoding on the decoding as we discussed. So we will try to encode a Python list to JSON. So let me type here. The objective of this program is encoding Python list to JSON, and then I will create a list, and then I will try to convert or encode into a JSON. So here is the string which we have defined, and then we are calling dump, and then we are trying to print it, and this is how we can encode a list into JSON. So if I run it, I'll be able to find out this particular list is converted into the JSON. Let's move to the next one where we are going to encode a tuples to a JSON. So I will type the objective on top of this program so that we can understand that what we are trying to do. So we are encoding a tuples to a JSON. Now I'm going to import same library, and then I'm going to create a tuples, and then I'm going to dump that tuple and define a JSON string and print it. So to do that, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to import this JSON first and then create a tuples. So in this, I have created created a tuples here, and then I am trying to dump that tuples data, and then I'm defining a JSON string. I'm trying to print it. So this is tuples encoding to JSON. If I run it, I'm able to see this tuple is converted into the JSON. Okay, similar way we can to for multiple multiple or different kind of data structure. Now we will see a specific scenario where we are having a particular custom object or custom data structure defined by Python, and when we want to do a encoding for that. So how does it work? So let's say consider we are going to define a person class which contains name, age, and city, and then we will try to encode it into the JSON and see the result what is happening. So here in this example, we have created a person class which is defined user defined class, okay, and it contains name, age, and city. So by default the JSON dumps the which are we using here for encoding. By default this JSON dump method cannot encode a Python object that are not in primitive data structure. For example, dictionary, list, tuples, string, number are true or false, something like that. In that case, if you are not having this system defined data structure and you are having a custom or user defined data structure, if you want to do encoding, in that case you have to provide a custom encoding function to handle such object. So in this example we have created a function called encode person. So encode person is a custom encoding function which will be uh, 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 should take the object as input and return the JSON serialized object. Okay, so here this functions we have defined because this person class is not a data structure defined by the system in Python, it's a user defined. So if you are having this kind of user defined class, then you have to define your own deserialization type here, and then this function will try to check that if this is instance of that particular type, that means person type, and then it will the return the JSON for that which is user defined. So how you want to send the JSON based on the input parameter or based on the custom object, we can build our deserialization logic and return that. Okay, so let's try to understand in more detail. Here we have imported the JSON module, and then we have created a class, and then since it's a custom or user defined class, we have created a encoded person. This function name can be anything, and then when we are trying to dump it, we need to pass that particular function which convert a particular user defined function into a JSON. Okay, so this is how it is. Now we are trying to print it. Let me run this code, and we are able to see that this custom user defined object is also able to convert into or encode into the JSON string. Now we will try to move into the decoding part, and we'll see couple of decoding part. Okay, so let's say consider you have a decoding, you want to decode JSON string to a dictionary. So let me try to do it here. We are here to decode a string to, we are going to decode a string to dictionary. So I have explained it in the previous example, but I just want to take it further and discuss it more detail. So here we are going to import it, the JSON, and then create a JSON string and then try to convert a dictionary. So let me do that. Here this is a JSON string, and then we are trying to convert into the load and convert into the dictionary, and then we are printing it. I'm just trying to run it. You will be able to see that it's the same kind of example which we have addressed it. Just to in the basic example we have addressed it, and same thing is here. So we will try to convert one more. We will try to convert a JSON string to list. So let me try to write a program, and here we are having a JSON string. So this JSON string we are having it, and we are trying to convert into the list. Same thing, we are loading it. Since it's a system defined data type, we no need to define the custom serialization. serializer, and then we are just loading this particular JSON string and printing it. So if I print it, it will be able to display me the list data. So if you see, it's able to display the list data. Now we will try to see few more scenario where we can see how we can handle the exceptions. For example, let's say consider if you are having a particular exception during your uh, uh, encoding decoding, then how will be able to handle it. So let's say I'm creating a example where we will have a error. So in this, we are intentionally trying to throw the exception and see that how we can handle it. So if you have already referred the previous tutorial about the Python exception, then you will be able to understand. If not, then please try to refer that. Okay, so in this, what is the error? Error is that in the JSON string, whatever we have defined, if you say the curly braces is not there, so that means when we are going to uh, basically load it, okay, so basically decode it, then what will happen, it will throw the exception because the this JSON string is not in valid format. So first let me run it. I will clean the console and run it. When I run it, okay, so if you see, there is error in this code. So to fix that, this is how we can handle it. How we can handle it, if you have seen that here we are having try block, and inside the try block we are calling the load, uh, which is part of the JSON module. And when we are calling it, we are trying to catch that particular exception, and we are trying to print a message for exception. If not, then we are trying to display that. So we are displaying this message, exception whenever it's occurring, we are displaying this message, and we are able to see this message is displaying. So when we correct it, let me correct this. Okay, when we correct it, we will be able to see this result happen. So let me see that this decoding happened properly. So if you see, now decoding is happened properly. So this is how we can handle the exception during our encoding decoding. We have to put our load or dump method inside the try block, and then put except and else proc, so that we can catch that exception, and we can do the corresponding action. Either we can throw the exception error or display error, or we can do further changes in the code to find out the issue. Okay, let me move to the next, where we are going to see how we can decode a custom defined object into the session. So let me take same example, and here we are having same person object created, and this is the previous example which we have seen that how to encode it. Now this is how to decode it. So here we have this class defined person is the same class, and then we are having decoding logic for that. And when we are loading it, if you see in that previous example, we were passing that particular function for dump method. Here we are passing that function for the load. So whenever this particular data, whatever string is going to load, is going to call this function and convert this particular string into the corresponding object or format. So if you run this code, you will be able to see this is display this custom user defined object. So this is how we can decode a JSON string to a custom user defined objects. So there are many more examples and solutions which I have added into my blog, and the details are added into the description box. please do try and have a look on that, and you will be able to get more idea on that. Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please consider subscribing to my channel. By hitting the subscribe button, you will be notified every time I upload a new video. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you will never miss the things. Your support means the world to me and help me to create more content like this. So if you have not already, hit the subscribe button and join KBS Technocraft community today. Thank you.